Hello everyone. So today I would like to share some insight about love, because so many people are interested in spirituality, but then this aspect of love kind of remains sort of an area where we have questions, we have misunderstandings, and we wonder. So how to know someone truly loves you? Many people are wondering, they're looking for love, yet the reality of things is that the majority of people do not know the frequency of love. They are not emanating that frequency of love, because that would mean that they have awakened to that higher frequency within themselves. So when we look for love outside of ourselves in hope to find it and to expect someone to make us happy, we usually get very disappointed, because there's no difference between the high frequency and true love. So I'd like to give a spiritual perspective on what true love is and how to know someone truly loves you. So I've kind of also made some notes here. So first of all, love is the energy of unconditional giving and care, because when you are in love, you're emanating that unconditional desire to pour into someone. So giving means desire to share one's energy, first of all, with a certain element within the projected reality, or with someone in this projected reality. So it's sort of this unconditional desire to share your being with another one, which almost gets you into the state of trance and unconditional meditative absorption, you may say, where all the thoughts cease to exist. It's almost like you're overwhelmed and merging with the presence of the other, because the frequency of giving, the frequency of love is the same as the frequency of unification. So you unite with the other one, even though you're still in different bodies, but you are expressing this desire through your emanation, through this unconditional giving and care in your actions. But then behind the actions is that emanation which desires to merge with the other one, because love is nothing but an attraction at the same time. It's like desire to expand to the degree where you merge with the other being. And even though we cannot fully merge on the physical level, except for the moment when we're truly intimate with the other person. And again, true intimacy is when you actually share that higher frequency, spiritual frequency, emotional frequency, because all these frequencies don't even differentiate in that moment. It's just one unified field where the physical intimacy is just like the fruit, like the result of that deeper intimacy, spiritual connection which you experience with that soul embodied in the other body. And so there is no joy of love and intimacy unless your souls and your souls connect and merge first. And so it's very important to understand that this is still quite rare at this point of time, because most of the people try to fragment love because they're fragmented within. So they might have these glimpses of generosity, sharing, offering care, but it doesn't last long, because these beings are simply still fragmented, and their trauma would show up at some point through this unconditional moment, because the unconditional moment is like meditative absorption. It brings up all the aspects of fragmented self which are yet to be healed and sort of, I would say, united within oneself. So if one experiences unconditional love, being still unhealed and traumatized, usually this situation may bring up a lot of negativity to the surface, so that one can address and heal oneself eventually. And so these sort of unions should be really appreciated for the fact that they are of evolutionary importance. And so when we truly love, we are in the highest of all frequencies, which is offering our being to the other, as I said already, and that is love. True love is always expressed through the unconditional being, where thoughts and logical thinking are sort of, they subside, they dissolve, and so does the judgment. So they're simply missing, because it's almost like a meditative state where one's consciousness is absorbed with the other. The majority of people know true love and natural being only in glimpses, and so because the judgmental, logical mind, social conditionings overpower their natural, almost like childlike, innocent, loving being. And so when people approach life from the higher frequency perspective, even when it seems like they lose through giving, through sharing their being, in reality, eventually, if they are enough aware, they gain. And their gain is beyond the material realm. Their gain is being true to their higher being, because through these moments of sharing unconditional being and staying true to their authentic self, they reconnect eventually with their higher being and can spiritually evolve much faster than those who hold on to the conditional aspects of self. And so they reconnect with their authentic self, or they stay with this authentic self. They choose to stay with that authentic self and still focus within and look within themselves, rather than constantly, reflect and mirror other people, because they have discovered their true self and their true love. So even if people do not respond, they still choose to sort of hold on to this unconditional being, because that which is their true self. And so when people mirror each other or try to just like sort of play games or reflect, they can never actually understand true love, because true love invokes that true love in the other. Because if it's true love, it cannot be truly rejected or denied. Yeah, temporarily it can be. But if someone is looking for that higher frequency, sooner or later, they will recognize it. So if someone truly loves you, even if you're not connected to them physically, they will perceive that emanation, because that emanation is that emanation of the unconditional being, and that cannot be denied. Even if you are physically not connected with that being, or for some reason they choose not to connect to you. So, because again, it brings us, true love brings us to the realization, or to the sort of this understanding of creation within ourselves, because creation is the unconditional frequency of love and giving, and thus those who live through this frequency never lack. They're flowing in abundance, and thus their nature is that of a truly loving and giving being. And this is quite rare, because many people think that they live through giving, but sometimes their desire to give and shower and love bomb someone else is still conditional and comes from their unhealed trauma, from their maybe narcissism, which they're not acknowledging or not aware of. So because when the person is on that higher frequency of creation and unconditional being, they don't think that they're giving too much, or that they are showering someone else with their kindness and care. It is just but their natural emanation. This is different from people who use the tactics of giving to get something, or use the tactics of showering someone with care just to get into their proximity, or for whatever mercantile, calculative reason, even if it's in the name of conditional love. So those who hold on to the limited elements of life lose themselves to them usually, and feel like they never have enough. And so people who unconditionally give, they never lack anything, in fact. because they would not be able to give otherwise if they didn't have. Such beings cannot know of the unconditional love and thus live off the crumbs. And so when you face people who breadcrumb you in the realm of love or relationship, it means because they're incapable, because they are not connected with the frequency of abundance within themselves. So all they can give you is but the manipulation. That is why all they can offer others is breadcrumbs of their own incomplete and fragmented being, or their outbursts of love or hate or whatever imbalanced relationship, because they are not in the flow of creation. So do not expect true love from people who are not connected with that higher frequency within themselves and not aligned within themselves, because love, again, is the frequency of creation and thus balance. And so this balance will manifest in your health, in your emanation, in the way you treat people. And so when you are in that frequency of abundance, you cannot simply treat people in the opportunistic way, or in the way where you see people as some kind of ways to gain something, to describe yourself or to validate yourself, because you're already complete and wholesome. When people look for love with actually the purpose of validation, it means they're incomplete. So all they can give you eventually is just the breadcrumbs of their own incomplete self that does not know of that frequency of love. So when you choose to be with such people or pursue such relationships, you have to be aware of the fact that these relationships will eventually hurt you, whether this hurt will come consciously or unconsciously, because many of these people do not hurt others unconsciously. They just are the emanation of hurt and pain and trauma, and all they know of love is that, which is a distorted version of conditional love. And so when you require unconditional love, or when you try to connect to them deeper or bring up deeper level of intimacy, they cannot do anything but run away, deny, reject, or just feel intimidation or feel some kind of invocation of their trauma, because that frequency is not known to them. So these people should be treated with compassion. And sometimes when people reject you, or you feel like you're hitting the wall by trying to bring up a next level of commitment, is because these people deny that frequency or connection within themselves. Because it is much easier to hold on to the conditional elements of the projected reality, or the conditional state of themselves that is logically correct for themselves, instead of diving into that unconditional pool or being of love that is sort of an unknown frequency that you are trying to invoke in them, and yet they strongly deny within themselves. So the point is that, and as a conclusion, that before you start looking for love, restore your wholesomeness and learn to bathe in your own unconditional being and love. Then you'll be able to recognize the higher frequency outside of yourself, and will never fall for the illusions of the conditional love, or sort of temporary love bombing or breadcrumbs that people are able to give you. Because you will recognize, if you are connected within yourself and aligned with that higher frequency, you will simply be not attracted to people who have distorted perception or version of love within themselves, because you will recognize that. And even if you connect to such beings, you have to clearly see whether they are ready to work on themselves, whether they're ready to actually reconnect with that frequency through your presence, or it would be a waste of time. I hope this video helped many people to gain clarity and a spiritual perspective on true love and true true frequency which we're all looking for, whether in the name of spirituality or in the name of true soul connection, love connection, union, it's all one and the same. If we connect or reconnect within ourselves with that higher frequency, we will perceive everything else as sort of only fragments, distorted versions, and so we will hold on to that, and that will bring us clarity in life on the level of friendships, relationships, and so on and so forth. And again, when we are holding on to this frequency, our emanation becomes a natural, healthy boundary for ourselves and for others, which helps us not to get involved with people which are not resonating in the same manner with us. And so this becomes our spiritual protection and protection of our true destiny that we have discovered through the reconnection with this higher frequency. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.